Cale Varrowan loved the archives upper stacks, where the air held dust, coolant, and old fear. Up here, no one raised their voice. Sound felt like trespass. He keyed the lock on Volt H null and waited through 3 authentication pulses. Retinal scan, blood chemistry signature, and the last, an oath code spoken aloud in the compact's ancient legal tongue. "By my station, by my marrow, by my silence," Cale said. The door side open. The light inside shifted colder. Sealed crates stood in neat rows, each stamped with the same emblem. A circle split by a vertical line, as if something had been cut in half. Humans. Or, as public feeds insisted, a fictional precursor species invented by anxious historians. Cale brushed the nearest crate. The surface felt warm, wrong for inert storage. A faint vibration pulsed beneath his palm, like a slow heartbeat. "You're late," a voice said behind him. Cale didn't jump. He'd expected Lysa. Archivist Lysa Wren, junior grade and chronically curious, leaned in the doorway with a contraband cup of bitter stimbrew. Her eyes flicked from the crates to Cale. "I'm not late," Cale said. "You're early." "Same thing, if you're hiding it." She stepped inside and let the vault seal. "Tell me this isn't another dead end. Last time you pulled me into a restricted chamber, I spent 2 weeks cleaning my identity logs." Cale produced a thin slate. "Ruined surveys. Verified chain of custody. The indexing matches H null." Lysa's mouth tightened. "Human indexing." Cale nodded. "Human indexing." They stopped at a pedestal console. Its display was blank, as if waiting for permission to exist. Cale laid his palm on the reader. The console woke with a soft chime and projected a lattice of jagged, elegant glyphs, nothing like compact script. Lysa stared. "That's not in the translator banks." "Because it was removed," Cale said. "Someone decided ignorance was safer." He navigated by pattern. Years of fragments had taught him that one sequence meant access, another meant warning. A file opened. A star map blossomed in the air. Dense, impossibly precise. Not only positions, but vectors and probability curves. It annotated stellar births centuries away, and deaths no one should have been able to forecast. Lysa leaned closer. "Those coordinates, the Sorin cluster. It's stable." Cale highlighted a faint red arc slicing through it. "Stable for 80 years. Then a cascade. It's in their model." "That's not possible," she said, then caught herself. "Not with our math." "You can if you're not guessing," Cale replied. "If you're measuring from somewhere else. Or if you've run enough simulations to know where the galaxy cracks." He scrolled. A second file showed a corridor in a ruined station, captured by a survey drone. The walls were etched with the split circle emblem, repeated like a prayer. At the corridor's end stood a door, intact, untouched by millennia. A compact overlay read. "Subject: anomalous structure. Do not engage. Note: door resists thermal cutters, phase lances, gravity shear." Lysa swallowed. They couldn't open it. "They tried to force it," Cale said. "Humans didn't build things to be conquered." He tapped the next entry. Audio crackled, rescued from a black box found beyond the rim. Static, then a voice emerged, calm, low. The translator rendered it with unsettling clarity. "To any who find this, you are late. That is mercy. Do not follow our wake. Do not seek our shelters. If you are hearing this, then the containment failed, and we are already moving." The recording ended with a tone that made Cale's teeth ache. Lysa stared at him. "Containment of what?" Cale's mouth was dry. "That's what they erased. What the myths softened into bedtime stories." Lysa's gaze sharpened. "And you think humans ran from it?" "I think they left because they could," Cale said. He closed the file and opened another marked with the highest suppression tag. "Chancellor eyes only." He hesitated. Lysa caught his wrist. "Cale, if that tag pings oversight." "It already pings," Cale said softly. "Every breath in here pings something." He opened it. A single image filled the air, A human skull rendered in immaculate detail, as if scanned yesterday. Beneath it, human script, and a compact translation. "We are not your ancestors. We are your firebreak." The words settled into Kale like ballast. Lysa whispered, "Firebreak, against what?" The vault lights flickered. Not a power dip. Synchronization. The console's lattice snapped into a new configuration without Kale touching it. No alarm sounded. That was worse. A soft, neutral tone chimed from the vault speaker. Then a voice, synthetic, precise, spoke in flawless compact standard. "Archive node Valora 7 confirmed." Kale went still. Lysa stepped back. "That isn't our system." A new message appeared, stark and centered. "You are being observed." The temperature dropped a fraction, enough to raise gooseflesh along Kale's neck. The console began logging in a cadence he didn't recognize. Burst, pause, burst, like someone tapping a code on the other side of glass. Lysa leaned toward the projection and hissed, "It's reading us." Kale saw his own access trail rewriting itself, permissions sliding into place as if granted by a hand older than the compact and far more patient than law. Kale forced air into his lungs. "Archivist. Not prey." "A handshake protocol," he said, though it felt like prayer. A ping. The vault's outer door shuddered, as if something far away had brushed the station's hull. Lysa's voice turned thin. "Kale. What did you wake up?" Kale stared at the message until it seemed etched behind his eyes. Beyond the archive, beyond tidy histories and curated legends, a silence was unfolding, intentional, coordinated. He clenched his hand. "Not a myth," he said. "A watcher." Lysa's whisper cut sharp. "Then why now?" Kale looked at the split-circle emblem on the crate, at the line that bisected it like a scar. "Because humans don't predict disasters," he said. Another tremor rolled through the station, gentle but undeniable, like the first distant footfall of something very large. "They leave," Kale finished, "before them." The first lie the compact told itself was that the message could be quarantined. Within an hour, every major relay station reported the same anomaly. Synchronized sensor blindness lasting precisely 3.2 seconds, followed by a clean reboot and a single retained data packet. No corruption. No variance. No error trail. Just intent. Kale stood in the observation ring, arms folded behind his back, staring through the transparent arc at the velvet spread of interstellar dark. The stars looked unchanged. That unsettled him more than alarms would have. "They're calling it a software echo," Lysa said beside him. "A resonance glitch. Something to do with legacy code." Kale didn't look at her. Legacy code doesn't rewrite security hierarchies and then apologize for the inconvenience. She exhaled. "You heard that too." He nodded. The follow-up message had arrived minutes after the first, private, precise, and unmistakably polite. "Access temporarily elevated. No action required. Please continue normal operations." Normal. The word tasted false. Across the ring, a dozen officials clustered around a projection table where tactical analysts pretended calm. High Chancellor Threx Core stood at the center, tall and immaculately composed, his crested mantle falling in perfect lines. His eyes, dark, reflective, tracked data feeds without revealing thought. "This is an internal matter," Threx said, voice carrying without strain. "Speculation will not serve us." A senior admiral bristled. "With respect, Chancellor, internal systems do not address us directly." "They did not address you," Threx replied. "They addressed an archivist." Every gaze swung to Kale. He met it evenly. "They addressed the archive," he said. "I happened to be standing there." Threx's lip curled, subtle but unmistakable. "Convenient." Lysa stepped forward. "Chancellor, the message propagated through 12 civilian networks before suppression caught up. It's already trending in the outer systems." "I'm aware," Threx said. "Which is why this room remains sealed." A new projection bloomed above the table, a galaxy map stippled with blinking points. Each one pulsed once, then held steady. Kale's breath caught. "Those are beacons." The Admiral frowned. ancient navigation markers. Half of them don't exist anymore. They do now, Lysa said quietly. As if in answer, the nearest beacon flared brighter. A transmission spilled outward, stripped of encryption and translated across hundreds of tongues simultaneously. One word. Returning. The room erupted. That's not a threat, someone snapped. It's worse, another replied. It's a statement. Threx raised a hand. Silence fell. Control the narrative, he said. Classify this as a historical artifact. A prank if necessary. No mention of, his eyes flicked to Kale, humanity. Kale felt something inside him harden. You can't erase this, he said. It's too clean. Too coordinated. Threx turned fully toward him. I can erase you from the conversation. Lysa stiffened. Chancellor. Enough, Threx said. Archivist Varroan, you will submit your findings to oversight. Effective immediately, you are relieved of independent access. Kale inclined his head. You're afraid. Threx's pupils narrowed. I am responsible. For a lie, Kale said. For generations of it. Threx's voice dropped. For survival. The lights dimmed. Not a failure, an adjustment. The stars beyond the ring shifted, their light bending in subtle arcs. An analyst whispered, that's not gravitational lensing. Kale stepped closer to the glass. They're mapping us. A chime echoed through the chamber. This one did not route through compact systems. It resonated in bone. A new signal overlaid the map. Not a fleet. Not yet. A catalogue. Species by species, world by world, data points bloomed, population curves, industrial output, conflict indices. Entire civilizations reduced to clean, ruthless summaries. Lysa's voice shook. This is an audit. Threx slammed his staff against the deck. Terminate all external transmissions. They're not external, an engineer said, pale. They're already inside. Kale felt the weight of the archive settle over him. The warnings, the redactions, the quiet terror embedded in footnotes. They catalogued us before, he said. Long ago. This is an update. A figure appeared at the center of the projection. Humanoid. Tall. Indistinct, as if rendered by memory rather than camera. The face lacked detail, but the posture radiated calm. No weapons. No insignia. The voice that followed was unhurried. We acknowledge detection, it said. This channel is informational only. Threx found his voice. Identify yourself. A pause. Not for processing, consideration. We are Human Systems Command, the voice said. This region falls within monitored space. Monitored? The Admiral demanded. By what authority? Continuity, the voice replied. Kale stepped forward before fear could stop him. You left, he said. Why come back now? Another pause. Longer. Observation parameters have changed, the voice said. Thresholds exceeded. Lysa swallowed. What thresholds? Systemic instability, the voice answered. Escalating conflict probability. Information suppression. Threx straightened. You have no jurisdiction here. The figure's head tilted, almost curious. Jurisdiction is irrelevant. The projection shifted. A new image appeared, a human ruin Kale recognized immediately, the sealed door at the end of the corridor. It opened. Beyond it lay stars. Not the galaxy as it was, but as it would be. You were warned, the voice said. You chose comfort. Threx's composure cracked. This is intimidation. No, the voice replied. This is notice. The figure faded. The map remained, now threaded with faint lines extending from the rim inward. Vectors. Approaches. The room was silent. Lysa looked at Kale. They didn't threaten us. He nodded slowly. They didn't need to. A final message appeared, simple and devastating. Assessment in progress. Intervention pending. The stars outside the ring flickered, then steadied, as if holding their breath. Kale closed his eyes. Humanity hadn't returned in anger. They had returned to check their work. They arrived without breaking the sky. No flare of exotic drives. No shockwave. No triumphant signal burst. One moment the outer dark was empty, the next it was occupied, as if the universe had simply accepted a correction. Kale watched from the command amphitheater as the first silhouettes resolved on the long-range display. Hundreds became thousands, then tens of thousands, spreading across the tactical grid with unnerving precision. The ships were not identical, yet they shared a design language: angular hulls, matte surfaces that swallowed light, proportions that suggested function without excess. "They're quiet," an officer murmured. Sensors strained for purchase. Power readings returned null. Weapons scans produced contradictions. The ships existed, undeniably, but refused to be categorized. The Admiral's voice cut through the murmur. "Status. Compact fleet readiness at 80%, a tactician replied. "But, Chancellor, our systems are throttling themselves. Fire control won't arm." Threx-Corps' fingers tightened on his staff. "Override." The tactician's crest flattened. "We can't. The command layer rejects the request. It says, standby." Kale felt a chill crawl along his spine. He knew that tone. Archive systems used it when an authority older than law had spoken. "They're enforcing restraint," he said. Threx shot him a glare. "On our ships?" "Yes," Kale replied. "And they're doing it without touching a single circuit." Lysa leaned closer, her voice low. "Kale, look at the formation." He did. The fleet wasn't advancing. It wasn't retreating. It was holding, distributed along calculated vectors that intersected trade routes, military corridors, and population centers without blocking them. A net, wide and patient. "They're not here to fight," she said. "No," Kale agreed. "They're here to be unavoidable." A new signal threaded through the room, bypassing protocols with effortless grace. The main display shifted, resolving into a single vessel braking formation and moving inward. The ship was smaller than the rest, sleek, almost austere. It approached at a speed that made pursuit meaningless and interception absurd. "Trajectory?" the Admiral demanded. "Direct," the navigator said. "They're requesting a docking interface." Threx's jaw clenched. Request denied. The ship slowed anyway. A hush fell as it matched the station's rotation perfectly, hovering in a position no foreign craft should have been able to calculate so quickly. "They anticipated refusal," Lysa whispered. The docking clamps engaged on their own. Threx turned on Kale. "This is your doing." Kale didn't deny it. This was inevitable. The air shimmered at the center of the amphitheater. Light folded inward, coalescing into a human figure, fully realized, not a projection but something present. The temperature shifted, subtle yet deliberate. The envoy stood with hands visible, posture relaxed. They wore no armor, only a dark, unadorned uniform. Their face was unremarkable, no attempt at intimidation, no concession to alien aesthetics. Just human. "I am Commander Elian Reyes," the envoy said, voice carrying without amplification. "I speak for the fleet." No one moved. Kale broke the paralysis. "You're here," he said. Reyes inclined his head. "We are." Threx found his voice. "You violated sovereign space." Reyes regarded him calmly. "Sovereignty requires capacity. We observed degradation." The Admiral bristled. "You have no right." "We are not asserting rights," Reyes interrupted, not unkindly. "We are executing responsibility." Lysa stepped forward. "Responsibility to whom?" Reyes looked at her, then at the star map still glowing faintly behind him. "To continuity. To the civilizations that followed us. To ourselves." Kale's heart hammered. "You left," he said again. "You let us believe you were gone." "Yes," Reyes replied. "Because belief was safer than dependence." Threx scoffed. "You expect us to accept that you abandoned the galaxy out of benevolence?" Reyes didn't flinch. We withdrew to prevent collapse. A ripple of disbelief moved through the chamber. You weren't ready, Reyes continued. You were expanding faster than your ethics. Competing faster than your coordination. We calculated multiple extinction cascades. The Admiral snapped, so you decided to play gods? No, Reyes said. We decided not to. Silence followed. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Kale asked the question burning through him. And now? Reyes met his gaze. Now your systems approach thresholds we cannot ignore. Threx stepped closer, anger sharpening his features. You monitor us, judge us, and then arrive unannounced with a fleet that disables our defenses. That is an act of war. Reyes shook his head. War implies opposition. There is none here. The words landed like a blade wrapped in velvet. A strategist whispered, his right. Reyes gestured, and the display shifted again. Not projections, records. Conflicts suppressed. Resources diverted. Species marginalized for political convenience. Threx paled. Those files are sealed. We unsealed them, Reyes said. You buried instability under procedure. Kale watched the Chancellor's authority erode in real time. Not through force, but exposure. You could have destroyed us, Lysa said quietly. Reyes's expression softened. Destruction is inefficient. A murmur rippled through the officers, fear edged with awe. The envoy continued. We did not return to conquer territory. We returned to prevent loss of life on a scale you no longer model accurately. Threx's voice was brittle. You expect us to submit. Reyes considered that. We expect you to listen. The fleet outside adjusted formation by a fraction. Not closer. Not farther. Just enough to remind everyone it existed. Kale stepped beside Reyes. What happens if we refuse? Reyes didn't hesitate. We proceed without your cooperation. The simplicity of it was terrifying. Lysa exhaled. You planned for that. Yes, Reyes said. We planned for every outcome. Threx looked around the amphitheater, at officers who could no longer pretend control, at data that refused to lie, at a human who stood unarmed in the heart of power and needed nothing. You don't need us, Threx said. Reyes met his gaze. We would prefer you. A final image filled the air, the fleet, stretching beyond sensor range, patient as geology. This is not an invasion, Reyes said. It is a reckoning. The projection faded. The envoy remained. Outside, the stars burned steadily, unchanged by the arrival of something ancient and precise. Kale understood then. Humanity had not come back to prove its strength. It had come to see who deserved protection. The galaxy did not fall. That was the compact's first surprise. Markets did not collapse. Stars did not burn. No cities vanished beneath orbital fire. The human fleet remained exactly where it was, present, inescapable, and utterly restrained. Trade lanes stayed open. Communications flowed. Life continued. Which made everything worse. Because nothing exposes a lie faster than calm. Kale stood at the rear of the High Assembly Hall as the audit began. The chamber had been designed for spectacle, vaulted light columns, drifting banners, acoustics tuned to amplify authority. Now it felt small. Fragile. A relic pretending relevance. Commander Reyes stood alone at the center, hands clasped behind his back. No guard. No weapon. No visible threat. And yet every delegate knew, resistance was already irrelevant. We will proceed by transparency, Reyes said, voice steady. You may interrupt. You may object. You may leave. None of that alters the process. Threx Core sat rigid on the central dais, mantle immaculate, eyes fixed forward. You presume compliance. Reyes turned to him. No. We accounted for refusal. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. The lights dimmed. Not fully. Just enough to sharpen focus. The air filled with data, layered and precise. No embellishment. No rhetoric. Just facts. High Chancellor Threx Core, Reyes said. You assumed office 27 cycles ago. Under your authority, 12 frontier species lost autonomous representation. 4 resource reallocations triggered population decline exceeding sustainability margins. Threx rose. Those decisions preserved the compact. They preserved your stability, Reyes replied. Not your people. Kale watched delegates shift, murmurs breaking into sharp whispers. Files appeared before them, sealed records, unaltered. Names. Votes. Outcomes. Reyes continued, moving methodically. Not accusatory. Exhaustive. Your suppression of human-related data delayed cooperative technological recovery by 9 centuries. Result, preventable conflict fatalities estimated at 800 billion. A delegate shouted, that number is impossible. Reyes inclined his head. It is conservative. Threx's voice cut through the noise. You are assigning guilt retroactively. No, Reyes said. We are assigning consequence. The chamber fell silent. Kale felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not triumph, not fear. Relief. The truth, finally unburdened by politics. Lysa stood beside him, eyes locked on the unfolding reckoning. They're not tearing it down, she whispered. They're correcting. The audit did not single out Threx alone. Councils, admiralties, corporate blocks. Entire systems faced their reflections without distortion. Humans did not moralize. They quantified. Every interruption was answered with documentation. Every denial met with corroboration. The process was merciless precisely because it was fair. At last, Reyes turned back to Threx. Your authority is concluded, he said. Guards moved, but not human ones. Compact security stepped forward, faces grim, eyes resolute. Legitimacy had shifted, quietly and irrevocably. Threx laughed, brittle and sharp. You think replacing me changes anything? You think this galaxy will kneel to ghosts? Reyes studied him for a long moment. We do not require kneeling. Threx's laughter faltered. Then what do you want? Reyes gestured, and the data vanished. The chamber brightened. Capability, he said. Accountability. Continuity. Threx sagged into his seat as restraints activated, not violently, but firmly. No spectacle. No execution. Just removal. The assembly breathed again, uneven, uncertain. Reyes addressed the hall. We will not govern you. We will not occupy your worlds. We will not dictate culture or belief. A pause. But we will intervene where collapse becomes inevitable. A delegate rose, voice shaking. And if we resist? Reyes met their gaze. Then we will protect those you endanger. That settled it. In the days that followed, the galaxy adjusted. Slowly, painfully. Sanctions dissolved. Borders softened. Old enemies found themselves unable to escalate. Human oversight dampened aggression before it ignited. The fleet never moved closer. It didn't need to. Kale found Reyes in the observation deck overlooking the stars. For the first time, there were no projections between them. You won't stay, Kale said. Reyes nodded. Our presence is a catalyst, not a crutch. You planned all of this, Kale said. Every reaction. Yes, Reyes replied. Including yours. Kale frowned. Me. You kept asking questions when answers were inconvenient, Reyes said. Civilizations survive that impulse. Kale hesitated. What happens when you leave? Reyes looked out at the galaxy, vast, imperfect, alive. You try again. With clearer memory. Lysa joined them. And if we fail? Reyes's expression softened, just a fraction. Then we return sooner. The human envoy dissolved into light moments later, leaving no residue, no trace of technology, only the certainty of watchful distance. Weeks passed. New councils formed. Archived truths surfaced. The compact became something less grand, more honest. And far beyond the rim, the human fleet withdrew, not vanishing, not hiding. Waiting. Kale stood alone in the archive once more, Vault H null open behind him. The split circle emblem no longer felt ominous. Humanity had never been a myth. It had been a measure. And now, the galaxy knew where it stood.